Welcome back to LETV. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any upcoming content. Let's do this. Right guys, so we're here again. We're in the LETV studio on the outskirts of Edinburgh, sort of Dalkeith area. And today I'm here with father of two, Bachelor of Arts, MC and Scottish DJ champion, U-Turn.
How's it going, man?
Cheers for coming on, man.
You're welcome.
Been looking forward to this one.
Yeah. I heard a lot about your channel and I've been watching some of the videos and that, and it's good to see you doing something new.
Yeah,
you know
man. Yeah. It's been quality. It seems been quite popular. Everybody seems to want to jump on in that. So,
do you know what? Podcasts are popular right now, eh? So, I think it's a good idea for you to start a new one, and as you say, people are watching because it's a podcast, you know, so people tuning in.
yeah, man. People are interested. Making sure it's not your standard information as well, eh? Like keeping it interesting,
Unfiltered.
Yeah, exactly. Although I do edit out the odd thing, eh? You will notice, guys, there has been the odd wee edits out. Got to be careful in this world.
The stuff that gets through is unfiltered. Eventually.
Aye. The stuff that gets through is totally unfiltered. Sound, man. We'll just crack on with the first part.
Cool.
And I've got my template for the interview here. And so the first part's pretty much based on, I'm actually learning this, I've done enough of them now, based on like where you're from, where you were born, where you grew up, what you were like as a kid in your teens, growing up into your teens, even in your younger days as well, just a bit of your background. So yeah, first of all, sort of where were you born and where did you grow up?
Okay, I was born in a town called Klerksdorp, which is near Johannesburg in South Africa.
Yeah, I obviously know a lot of the answers to these, which is funny.
Yeah, because you're a good friend of mine.
Aye. This is going to be similar to the Word interview where I actually know what I'm asking.
Yeah, but for the people who don't know, I was born in South Africa in a town called Klerksdorp, which is actually, if you Google Klerksdorp, you'll find some interesting stuff about what happened there millions of years ago. It's very historical and very sort of interesting geologically.
Right.
Basically, they found something called the Klerksdorp spheres, which are, they're basically little stone formations, right, that were found in Klerksdorp, and they're millions of years old. And what people thought initially was that these were made by a race or a civilization way in the past. But then subsequently they found out that they're natural formations. And then geologists and scientists have explained how this shape could have been made. So it's an interesting place. Yeah, that's where I was born. And then I grew up there until I was about 9.
Alright.
And because both my parents are from Edinburgh.
In South Africa till you were 9?
Yeah, I stayed there till I was 9.
You must still have some memories of South Africa as a kid.
Yeah, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents are both from Edinburgh and they moved out there before I was born. And then I lived there for 9 years. And then I came back here. But I came back with my dad. And my mum stayed over there. And that was like, well, I was born in 1980, like near the end of 1980. And then, as I said, I moved to Scotland when I was like 9. So that was like, it was Italia 90 was happening, the football World Cup. So that was them times. And so my mum stayed there. I moved to Scotland, and I grew up. The rest of my growing up I done here.
What area did you move to when you first came to Scotland?
I moved straight into East Lothian, which is no far from here. I moved to Trinent.
Oh right, aye, straight to Trinent.
I went to school there.
And then your dad's still in Trinent, eh?
Yeah,
aye. So your family basically still stayed in Trinent since then.
My sister's out there. When I moved to Trinent initially, I was staying with my auntie. That's my dad's my dad's sister. Yeah.
Right.
And staying with her, and then basically, eventually, my dad got his own place sorted out and moved there.
Aye.
So, but then I moved to Musselburgh, and then I stayed in Musselburgh for a while, then back to Trinent.
Was that with your dad? Or
yeah,
not?
always with my dad, yeah.
Aye.
And Musselburgh, then back to Trinent, and then eventually when I was 19 I moved to Edinburgh.
Yourself? Aye,
Yeah,
aye.
that's when I got my first flat, yeah.
Aye, aye, cool. In Leith, probably. Was it? No?
No, initially I moved to Gorgie.
Oh, right,
And
aye.
I was seeing a Canadian girl.
Ah. You like
She-
keeping it international, eh?
Aye, she had a flat in Gorgie, and she was an art student at the Edinburgh School of Art, and that's how I managed to leave Trinent and sort of go on my adventures.
Ah, cool, cool. Nice. And don't know what else to... I mean, what sort of memories do you have of South Africa and that?
Mm-hmm.
You remember
A
like...
lot of memories of
Even-
like landscapes and stuff. What were you going to say? All the troubles and stuff.
No, I was going to say, like, literally, was it nice weather, a nice country, like nice and hot all the time? And
It was hot and cold, so they've got extremes. They go like, they get quite cold winters and quite hot summers.
Aye.
So, you
Obviously
can get cold weather there, and when it rains, it's heavy rain and things like that.
Aye,
But when
yeah.
it's sunny, it's really, really baking.
Really hot. I mean,
Yeah.
basically Africa. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, I remember a lot about South Africa because when I was actually a kid, I saw a lot of stuff. Nelson Mandela was still in jail when I was like 6, 7 years old. So my dad would be taking me around, and I would see stuff out the window, and I remember that everywhere was like graffiti about Mandela.
Aye, like free him.
Free him, yeah, free
Aye.
Nelson Mandela. So I remember all that, and I remember tension. So like, sometimes we would come home from shopping and there'd be people robbing the house.
Aye.
My dad would have to chase them out and things like that. So that sort of stuff would happen,
Aye.
And so there was tension between basically people who had like a place to live and those who didn't have a place to live, because the government weren't really looking after people
Aye.
properly, right? So we all know about apartheid and things like that, right? So they got it badly wrong and they weren't looking after everyone, so that just turned one group against another, and then that group against that group, and so yeah, it basically boiled down to people who were very poor, who didn't have anything, were just doing what they needed to do to survive, and often that meant stealing and things like that, so that's I remember that in South Africa. There was a lot of troubles. I remember the landscape, I remember Table Mountain, I remember going to like the beach down at Cape Town and places like that and seeing big waves.
Cool.
And I've got vivid memories of like very busy beaches.
Aye. Just with locals or tourists?
With tourists, yeah.
Aye.
And very busy beaches and things like that. And just,
Would you ever like to live in another country like that again, or do you picture yourself like just stay in the UK, or
I'd like to go back, yeah.
Aye.
But living there, I don't know.
you'd like to go back and visit anyway, eh?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and go back.
Because it's where you were born, eh? It's
Yeah.
mad, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna try and go back. I've not been back since,
Aye.
so I'm gonna try and go back, but it's just difficult at the moment. All the travel stuff that's going on and stuff.
Aye. Cool. I don't know. Well, you left there when you were 9. I suppose we could move on a wee bit then, eh? Once you came to Edinburgh and moved to Trinent and Musselburgh, and so say what school did you go to? That?
Right. So as soon as I came to Trinent, I was still in primary school age. So I went to primary 6 and 7
Aye.
in Trinent,
Aye.
and then I went to high school in Trinent. And it was difficult for me transitioning from like South Africa to Scotland
You
as a young
must
kid.
have had a wee South African accent and everything.
Yeah.
When you were that age.
Yeah,
Aye.
I mean, there was a lot of, basically just I was an outsider,
Aye.
and I had to get past all of that. And I was good at school,
Aye.
I ended up getting good grades and stuff, and 2 hires. and that was enough to go into like college and all that stuff,
Aye.
university. But yeah, it was difficult for me. It was a big change coming from South Africa to here, and then also the fact that my mum didn't come with us.
Well, would you say you got even like racism in a way?
Oh, aye,
Aye,
loads,
aye.
loads.
Aye.
I've had loads of racism,
Aye.
and I get it from both sides sometimes, because like I've been around I've been to like 16, 17 different countries.
Mm.
You know, that I've been to a few places, and I've been to places where I've been discriminated against for being white, and then in Scotland I have had a lot of racism for being black. You know, and but I'm not black.
Yeah.
I'm white, but because I've got a tan.
You've got a tanned complexion.
Yeah.
Would you say you actually got racism due to your tanned complexion?
Absolutely.
Aye.
It's rife in Scotland.
I've always thought, I think I used to joke in that, like I always thought you looked fucking Italian or something.
But,
you know, like
but yeah,
French or something.
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's cool. It only made me stronger, you know.
Aye.
Because I had to deal with all of that. It was new to me, because when I came here I was only 9, and obviously
older times back then now, eh?
See,
now a wee kid moved from South Africa, there is still racism and stuff going on like that, but not like it was back in the days, eh?
Nah, no. When I first came, it was just something that I had to deal with. Because when I was in South Africa, there was like people that didn't like me because it was because I was white, but it was also because we, like I said, we had a place to live and stuff, and it was so a lot of the time it didn't even boil down to skin colour. It was just like if
wealth
they've got
poverty and that, and aye.
And then when we came here, it was like people are people. It's all over the world like that. It's not just Scotland.
Oh, aye.
If you're a kid and you're the new kid at primary school, you're an outsider. And then what will happen is, whatever sort of characteristics that outsider's got, whether that person comes into the class, maybe he's a bit overweight,
aye,
then he's going to get picked on for that.
They're going to pick on.
If he's a wee bit like, he's from a different country, got to get picked on for that, you know. So
yeah.
Kids are
wears
kids.
glasses, whatever it is, they're going to.
Doesn't matter what
and
it is.
It's mad, when you think about it that way, that not all kids are like that. There is some nice kids out there, and it's just crazy to think like they do that, kids. A new kid comes in, they all know he has no friends, and the first thing they think in their wee minds is, how can I be nasty to him? Like, what a weird thing to do, A weird way to look at life,
It just happens though.
Ken.
And like I said, I just dealt with it. I just dealt with it. It's not something that sort of.
You're a strong person now, though.
Aye.
Like,
I'm not. It's like I just had to get on with it. I'm
not
not going to bother with.
Not even in like a gangster hard way or that, but you don't let anyone push you around now.
Nah.
You know,
I'm
ever
always,
since I've known you.
But see when you grow up like that, and you've always got to fend for yourself in a certain way, you sort of get sensitive to that. So anytime someone is trying to take advantage of you, or anytime someone is being unfair towards you, you instantly know.
Go into defence mode.
And you can get a bit defensive, but you see, as time goes on, you can start to recognise that and say, right, be defensive, might be defensive, but try and do it, in a constructive way. So you're not sort of like, you can react well to things or react badly to things. You know what I mean?
Aye.
So
totally.
as time goes on, you can learn to do things better.
As you get older too, you learn that people that are generally trying to upset other people aren't to be worried about, in a way. Pay them no attention.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Like pay them no mind, as people say, things like that.
It's not worth it. You're always going to get it, man. As I said, I've been around a few places, and a lot of people have travelled more extensively than me, but I've seen it in the places that I've been to. It doesn't matter where you go. It's always the same. There's people beefing each other.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't change.
Well, say as you were going into high school and that, how was that for you in high school? Was it easier than primary now?
See, by that time, yeah,
integrated a bit.
Yeah, because I had a collection of friends now.
By
you
that
see,
point,
it took me. I was always popular with a few people, right? But when I first sort of arrived, I would like say that I always sort of gravitated towards the people that were not like the popular crew or whatever. You know, I just liked to play football and stuff like that. I didn't want to get involved with like, you know, trying to sort of act tough and older and stuff like that. Although I did have to defend myself plenty of times, you know. And then people realised they were like, because I've never lost a fight. You know what I mean?
You weren't looking for fights though.
I wouldn't say I won them all, but
they were
you know what I
coming
mean.
To you.
I always defended myself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You wouldn't say you won every fight, but you never lost a fight.
Yeah, so that's how I feel about them all. You know what I mean?
I remember someone else saying once to me, not in a podcast, saying, they've lost a few fights, but they've never been beat. And I was like, that's a mad way to look at it. Like, so like, yeah, technically the guy beat me in the fight, and he kept putting me down, and I couldn't get back up. But I wasn't beat because like never at any point was I like I'm done. So he never beat me. But but I lost the fight. I was like, I can't remember who said that, and I was like, that's a good way of looking at it. Like, never feel like you've been beat. Like, cool, man. Well, we've still got a good wee 5 minutes still left on this part, so we've covered a lot of like where you were from, where you were born, and where you're from, and where you grew up, and covered a lot of primary school. So, I suppose still a bit more in your teens, like maybe more about what sort of age did you start gravitating towards hip hop and that?
Well, I became a DJ when I was about 17, and that was after listening to like Cypress Hill and things like that, you know, and Wu-Tang, like 36 Chambers. But even going way back to when I was in South Africa, I remember Vanilla Ice when he was popping in that,
Aye.
And that influenced me, I have to be honest. Like, if anyone, you know what I mean, has sort of been around of that era, you'll remember that Vanilla Ice was all over the place.
Aye.
So he was he was somebody that I thought, wow, he's cool.
Yeah.
And he was a rapper, you know. So and then even when I was like 7, 8, 9 years old, you could say some of that song, you know, the Ice Ice Baby one or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I think it came out in 1990 or something. So
I was about to say like 88.
Aye. So like, but it would have been
probably
like
right, more than 90 or something.
Aye. But I do remember learning it when I was like, when it came out or whatever. So it might have been actually when I was in this country, you know what I mean? But I remember when I was young and Vanilla Ice was popping, and I was like, wow, that's cool. And then obviously, as I said, that was just pop. That was pop music, you know. And then later on, Cypress Hill and Wu-Tang, that was more underground. Like, it was hip hop, but Cypress Hill did go mainstream. But when I was listening to them,
hip hop's done a weird travel, because I mean, it did kind of in the very, very, you'll know better than me with this stuff probably, in the very early roots, they literally adapted almost disco music and that, and rapped on it. So it almost was pop music to begin, but with
the
a
MC
street
Hammer
edge.
and that.
And then it went more into, it turned into, it wasn't so much hip hop, I don't think, back in the days. There was DJs sampling existing music, and they were rapping on it, and it was sometimes funky or disco-y sounding, and it was quite poppy. And then it's adapted this whole culture of hip hop quite quickly. Within 5 years of it in the 80s, by the end of the 80s, it was a culture, and then by the 90s, it was just taken over. And it's 2020, and it's the most powerful like genre of music in the world. I reckon. I think it must be. It's crazy how it changes.
I think like gravitating towards it, you asked, and like, yeah, that's when it really started with the Wu-Tang and the Cypress Hill, because then I was about 15 and I was going to school and stuff, and then I had a mate, Gary, who actually introduced me to both Cypress Hill and Wu-Tang, and that was different, because everything else that I was hearing before then, like Vanilla Ice and all that, was all from the radio. But then when I was at school, I met a cool friend and that, and he started introducing me to stuff that wasn't in the mainstream. So I thought, what's this Cypress Hill stuff and everything? and I started hearing the scratching. It was DJ Muggs. See, so I got into it.
Aye.
I got into it all from a DJ side of things. It was always the scratching.
DJ Muggs, one of your favourites.
Yeah, big time.
Aye,
Oh,
aye, from the
Big
beginning.
Oh, aye. He's probably like.
He's one of my favourite because he's a producer too.
Aye.
I've had him up there with my favourites like with RZA and Dre, like Muggs, RZA,
Aye.
Dre.
Aye. I would put Muggs above all of them.
Later on in life, I put Kanye West in there.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like late at the start of his career when he was really making his big hits.
Aye.
But aye,
The sound that Muggs made was what got me into hip hop. I was so fascinated with it, with the sound on like Temples of Boom, and you know, Cypress Hill tunes like Muggs, and the scratching was never like DMC stuff that I ended up doing later on, but it was just sort of like track scratching. You just like a couple of scratches on the track.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I got into it. And my mate was a DJ. He was introducing me to stuff I hadn't heard of before, and so that's how I really got into it. My friend showed me stuff
About 15,
and then because he was wanting to get decks, so we were both like, right, we're going to get decks and stuff. So we ended up, and that was when I was 15. By the time we were like 17, we had decks.
Aye.
And then we just used to hang out and scratch all the time.
You're very similar story to Nasty P, and DJ related, and I think he says something about 18. I think he said 18 because he was skating. Skating was his thing, and he found DJing similar to how you found it, and he found his DJing, he says, through Juice the movie.
Right,
Watching the movie
because
with
Tupac
the DJ.
was in that. Aye.
And his pal was the DJ at the competition, and your story's very similar to how Nasty P sort of got into DJing too, and he says he finally got his own decks when he was 18 and learned.
Yeah.
He might have said 16. I can't remember.
In his late teens, aye.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, eh?
So that's how it worked, man. I loved DJing, and I still do. DJing's my main thing.
Aye.
You know, DJing and making beats. That's what I like to do.
You were the Scottish DMC champion in 2005. Aye. And still to this day, you've maybe not entered any competitions in a wee bit, but still to this day, if you put you up against other DJs, you're gonna give them a good fight for their money. It's mad.
I know.
You're still one of the best DJs in Scotland.
Yeah, I'm proud to be that as well. You know, because I'm like, I've always kept up the art, and I've always had decks. So for the last season, since I was 17, I've had decks in my house, always. And I practice a lot, and I still practice. And back in the day, see, when I won it in 2005, the Scottish Championships, I was practicing like hours and hours and hours each day.
Aye.
And that amount of work that I put in has just sort of carried me.
It's amazing though. You've got the ability, and you knew that if you put the work and effort in, your ability is going to get better.
Yeah.
Competitions
guaranteed.
And
I know myself, I've got a natural talent for it, and I'm confident enough to say that.
I think you have to have.
Yeah.
Because you've tried to teach me how to do it in the past, and I was picking up chirping and wee bits and pieces, but I was like, man, this is hard. And you were like, you're not going to work it out in 2 weeks, man. You're going to have to keep it. I was like, I'll just make the beats, man. Just you do the cuts.
Aye. the thing about scratching is it's something that's really hard to learn how to do, and then to get really good at it, it takes hours and hours and hours of practice. And it's not over like a few weeks, it's just constant. So each year that goes by, you're getting better, and because you've practiced a certain amount that year, it all sort of goes in the bank.
Aye.
And your muscles remember it in your arms, you know. And then what happens is you've got these techniques down now that are just sort of like you can do them without really trying so much. They're just like they're just there now. They're sort of, you know, you've absorbed them into your skill set.
It's like playing a guitar.
Yeah,
and learning a tune,
and then you learn new stuff on
once
top.
You learn it, you've learnt it.
Yeah, and you put that in the bank. It's done, and then you can start learning new stuff. So now I'm learning stuff that I would say is more advanced. You know, like if I was to try and teach somebody how to do it, it would be hard, because I would have to say to them, look, you're going to have to try this technique first, and that's going to get you the basics of it, and you'll have to get good at doing that for 2 years. Then in about 3 years, you know, you'll be ready for going up to this, because it takes a long time
I
to
mean,
train the muscles in your arm to
Could
do
pretty
this
much
stuff.
take 10 years to get to a serious level, eh? Could take
Aye,
5 years,
aye.
5 years at least to be decent enough to show some skill, eh?
Aye.
Aye.
So like my scratchings, like I'm doing, because I've practiced for 20 odd years straight. It's like I'm doing stuff now which pleases me. I'm
Aye.
like, this is fun. I like doing that. And nowadays there's not a lot of like live battles to go to anymore that I used to do. Right?
Aye.
They're online. The last time I entered an online battle was actually about 2014.
All right, aye, aye.
So it was a few years ago now.
Mm.
That was an online. It was
7 year,
Aye.
8 years.
I was a DMC online, because they do all. It's all online now.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause what I used to do was, me and Richie and all that, and we used to turn up at events, at venues, and go in the afternoon and battle when no crowd was there.
All right,
And
aye.
it was just the judges watching, and then they would decide who was getting through to the evening
Yeah,
events.
aye,
And then a
aye.
lot of guys would get told, sorry, you're not going to get to come back later, but here's a ticket, you can come and watch.
Ah, right,
That's how
aye.
it used to work,
Aye, aye,
the
aye.
DMCs and all that.
Mm.
So, aye, that's...
Well,
I'm hoping that they get something going again.
Aye,
like
aye.
that.
we can still chat plenty more about DJing and stuff you're enjoying anyway, and because we've pretty much run out of time on that, I think. We've covered a lot of stuff. We can still chat more about your teens as we're going through the interview anyway, but we'll just move on now to have a wee break, and going to play a track from U-Turn, and most likely it'll be actually Blasphemous Sinner, which is U-Turn's rap name, and all details will be on the screen, and we'll be back in a wee minute.
Peace.
Peace.
Liz Tax. SOS, Unisonics. Who's that at the door? Who's that at the door? Bang, bang, bang. Who was making that then? No, you ain't getting in. Bang, bang, bang. Got me scratching my chin. No, you ain't getting in. Bang, bang, bang. Knock at the door. Don't let them knock, and this is my home. Bang, bang, bang. Done nothing wrong, but I can't let this happen. So I have to stay calm. Bang, bang, bang. Who was making that then? No, you ain't getting in. Bang, bang, bang. Got me scratching my chin. No, you ain't getting in. Bang, bang, bang. Knock at the door. Don't let them knock, and this is my home. Bang, bang, bang. Done nothing wrong, but I can't let this happen. So I have to stay calm. Ring, ring, ring. You be ringing my bell. Ain't got nothing to sell. Bang, bang, bang. Now you're knocking again. I'm gonna count to 10. Then I'm gonna check my peak. Then I'm gonna get some sleep. You ain't messing with me. You ain't testing a G. No impressed with your steeds. Man, I'm blessed with degrees. In the trenches I bleed. In the home I find peace. Bang, bang, bang. I won't answer the door. I might dance on the floor. Take my chance, I want more. Man, I'm tanking the score. Man, I'm blanking that whore. Shut a drag from the store. Now I'm doing that chores. Bang, bang, bang. Knock at the door. Don't let them knock, and this is my home. Bang, bang, bang. Done nothing wrong, but I can't let this happen. So I have to stay calm. Bang, bang, bang. Who was making that then? No, you ain't getting in. Bang, bang, bang. Got me scratching my chin. No, you ain't getting in. Bang, bang, bang. Knock at the door. Don't let them knock, and this is my home. Bang, bang, bang. Done nothing wrong, but I can't let this happen. So I have to stay calm. Bang, bang, bang. Who was making that then? No, you ain't getting in. Bang, bang, bang. Got me scratching my chin. No, you ain't getting in. Wait. Make sure your phone is on recording, mate. Even in your pocket on the voice memo. Even if they don't know, get that red button told. Evidence, get your own if you hope to win. Balance the scales of corrupt systems. You're so much more than your fingerprint. Bang, bang, bang. Clean out the ashtray, put the hash away and shout, I heard you. We're not a herd, animals farm, don't be disrespected. Aye, mate, how do you do? What's going on? Can I help you today? Do you have a warrant and can I stay in my place and am I safe? Bang, bang, bang. Who was making that then? No, you ain't getting in. Bang, bang, bang. Got me scratching my chin. No, you ain't getting in. Bang, bang, bang. Knock at the door. Don't let them knock, and this is my home. Bang, bang, bang. Done nothing wrong, but I can't let this happen. So I have to stay calm. Bang, bang, bang. Who was making that then? No, you ain't getting in. Bang, bang, bang. Got me scratching my chin. No, you ain't getting in.
Right, guys, so that's us back. Hope you enjoyed that track there from Blasphemous Sinner, aka DJ U-Turn, aka the Man of Mystery. Thinking where that came from, man.
Well, some say I'm a bit mysterious sometimes, but I suppose it, could be true. You know what I mean? I'm a wee bit of a mystery to myself sometimes.
It's good to be a bit of a mystery. I don't know what it'd be like, out everybody know everything about. Well, they'll ken a lot about you after this now.
Just try and like sort of, you know, the mystery of life. You know, we're all sort of caught up in it. So that's where a lot of my sort of mysteriousness comes from. Because a lot of the time I might just be sitting trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. You know what I mean?
Life's a mystery.
Yeah.
So, man, we're going to go on with part 2, which is basically like what main events in your life sort of pushed you in the direction of being a rapper, DJing. We've not spoke much about like you went to uni as well and got your degree in sound production.
Yeah.
And what did we introduce you as? That was pretty much it. And then just you've obviously got kids as well, eh?
Exactly.
So we can maybe try and chat about a wee bit of that as well if you want. You can chat as much as you want. I don't put the guests under pressure, so I let them say what they want to say. I don't sit and pick up people to get information and that. And it seems to be good, eh? People seem to like it. So covering that, and then just really like why you do music. Like people have reasons, and you feel like not just because you enjoy it, there might be other reasons why you do it. But so what can you remember? You've already been chatting about stuff before about sort of what main events in your life say pushed you in the direction of DJing and then into rapping. So I mean, you've spoke a bit about how you got into DJing, eh? And then you got your first decks and stuff. You practiced, and so I think you've kind of actually spoke about that. So what pushed you into rapping? What made you think maybe I'll have a shot at this?
It was just related to the DJing, really. It sort of was like a spin-off from my DJ career because I didn't start recording raps until I was 25. And
so you were DJing by 18.
Yeah, and I was basically
7 years later.
Yeah, but see, by the time I started recording raps, I had a couple of raps that were my own, that were written and memorised. So
you'd had an interest for it.
Yeah, and that came from being able to memorise verses from like Inspector Deck or Be Real, and as we said earlier, Vanilla Ice. Back in like the early 90s and stuff, you know, being able to memorise verses that were popular was something that made you think, wow, I've just done that whole verse.
And
could
create my own verse.
And that kind of teaches you how to do the rhythm and how to flow. But you're doing someone else's, right? So then when I became a DJ, that just continued. I was learning more and more verses from tracks that I liked, because the more I listen to tracks, the more I memorise them. So it comes a time where I can just do the verses, you know. And so the DJing took me places. I went to London DJing and that, Birmingham and York and places like that. And by the time I was 25, I'd done a lot of DJing, learned a few verses. And then I ran into a couple of people that actually had mics that were set up. So that's how it kind of started, was actually just helping people who were setting up studios to test their mics. And I was like, I've got a verse I can do. And that helped people to learn how to
just
to
use
produce
stuff.
And then, you know, do backing vocals and how to make a track sound decent. So yeah, it all becoming a rapper and doing MCing, it came from the DJing. It was just like a progression and a different outlet, a way to be creative.
And because it's you were interested. You didn't just do it because you could. You did it because you were interested. See that fly?
Anyway,
it just shows the difference, and it's just an opinion. So it's not like DJs don't want to rap. Some DJs do, some DJs don't. And like again, Nasty P, he was like, he never had an interest in rapping. I asked him about that, and he says, I never wanted to be a rapper. And that was like totally cool. Not everybody wants to be and you obviously had an interest there. Like hip hop, there's all the elements of it that you don't just have to be interested in DJing. You could do b-boy dancing and graffiti and producing and rapping. And
well, I actually did a lot of graph
Aye.
as well, you know. And that started when I was about 16, 17, and then...
Because you moved to Glasgow for a wee bit, didn't you, in your teens? Was it teens or early 20s? Or?
No, I didn't actually. I never moved to Glasgow until I was like 35.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
But I lived in.
Oh, I thought you stayed in Glasgow like earlier at one point. No. All right.
Never moved there. What you might be thinking of is that I used to go through a lot because I had my mate there. His name's Hudson Mohawk now.
Aye.
And he's, you know, his name's Ross.
You were just through there a lot, maybe staying with him and stuff.
Yeah, practicing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had people that I used to practice scratching with, DJing, was like Richie Roughtone, Itchy, his name was, and then Itchy became Hudson Mohawk, and now he makes beats for a lot of big rappers and that. And so what you're maybe thinking of is that I used to go through to Glasgow a lot.
Through there a lot.
I used to go through a lot, not only just to go to Ross's house. I would go through for DMC competitions. I would go through to DJ at club nights.
Aye.
So I never ever lived in Glasgow until I was 35. But since the age of 21, I was through there a lot, because what happened with the DMCs in Scotland was they would basically do one in Glasgow one year, and then it'd be in Edinburgh the next, and then it'd be in Glasgow the next year, and then it'd be... So they would alternate between the two cities.
Aye.
And what we often found was that the Glasgow ones were much more busy, and, you know, it was cool. So coming through to Glasgow was something I used to do a lot.
You get friends with a lot of the Glasgow DJs as well?
A few of them.
You know a few?
A few.
A few of the West.
The only one I can say that I really got friendly was Ross, right?
Aye, but do you
and
know?
But there's another guy called Pro Vinylist Kareem who was Ross's friend. So sometimes when I would be through practicing, there'd be Pro Vinylist would be there, and some people will know about Pro Vinylist. He's a good DJ for Glasgow, Southside, and back in the day, him and Ross.
Quite old school.
Him and Ross used to practice. Yeah, he goes back like me and Ross do, and Richie Roughtone.
Aye.
And then sometimes when I was practicing with Richie, Bunty would be there. You've all heard of Bunty, and we sort of practice with him. And then Woody would come up sometimes. Woody's a DJ for down south.
Right.
And it all just came from that. And then all the rapping came from meeting guys like you. Like Ross was the first guy to record me on a beat, and that's who I was talking about earlier. Because back then in 2004, that's when I really started recording raps. He was just building like a studio back then. He was already amazing at making beats.
Yeah.
And nobody really knew then that he would go on to do the things that he did.
Yeah.
And now he's like he makes beats for all like lots of big names, you know.
Behind the scenes, with a lot of big names.
He does what he wants to do, you know. I think he does exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean,
with the beats
famous
and
one
stuff.
That everybody always quotes is that he's done a lot for Kanye West.
He's been brave. Like that's what I think Kanye liked about him, because
it's crazy
because he's so creative with his beats.
Went from where he is to working for Kanye West, basically.
Yeah, but not just him. He's done stuff with Busta Rhymes, Drake. Now he does stuff. Well, honestly, I wouldn't like to even just say, "Oh, he makes beats for," because he's done stuff for Christina Aguilera, I think, and all sorts. Like you wouldn't believe how busy he is.
Yeah.
Like he's
Amazing,
done. Well, Apple bought his tune for their adverts and stuff.
The
Chimes
I remember
one,
something like that. Aye,
that Chimes beat that he made was amazing. If you sit and listen to it with a good bass, a good system that can handle bass, you can hear all the wee intricacies of what he's doing.
He's a very clever producer. Aye.
So
quality producer.
Amazing.
That's why he is where he is.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But yeah, I didn't make a lot of friends.
Aye.
Through in Glasgow, but I would say Pro Vinylist Kareem and Ross were friends, and now we've lost touch. Like I know Ross maybe think like he knows of me, and I know of obviously I know of him because just through Twitter and stuff, like you know what I'm saying. But I just wish him all the best and stuff, and I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing anyway. And I've got my 2 kids, as you said, they're the most important to me.
Aye.
I do my DJing on the side, and I drive trucks to keep the bread and butter, you know what I mean?
As U-Turn had said, he wanted introduced to a father of two as the first thing, as it's the most important thing to you.
It is, and it taught me a lot about life, like, you know, and about how to be.
And so it should be like, not in a surprising way. Like, I've got kids too, and
Yeah.
that's the most important. You wait until you have kids, then you go, wow, like this is the most important thing in
Your
my
life changes completely,
Aye.
and then you stop. Well, I stopped being selfish. I learnt how to be more responsible. I learnt how to be more hardworking.
Aye.
I learnt how to put the music in its place, you know, and all the rap and all that, and just to be like
prioritise what's important.
Yeah.
Aye.
Because probably before I had
that
kids,
sort of stuff happened to me as well.
yeah, before I had kids, it was just all about me and my music and my DJing and all of
Me
that.
too, aye. Like,
And then I'm like,
not
that's
DJing, but
yeah.
aye.
But then when you have a kid, when I had a kid, it changed. I've got to put someone else first now, and then I had another kid, so I've got two people to put before me now.
Yeah.
So that's really taught me a lot about life and how to be more tolerant.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Our whole circle, when we used to do tons of music, probably like from 2005 to 2010, like we were all doing the most we'd been doing, I think.
yeah, because we didn't have a lot of responsibilities.
No, I know.
So we had a lot more time to do stuff.
Aye. And then as due to what you were just saying about folk having kids and you prioritise, that's literally the answer why our kind of like circle, I don't know what to call it, circle of artists that all work together, we've all quietened down.
Yeah.
Because life is just,
Yeah.
more priorities come into your life, eh?
And for some people, obviously, they don't have kids in their life, so it takes different things for them to learn the lessons, you see.
Aye.
And we all get there in the end, I say. You know what I mean? Because I'm just saying the things that happened in my life that made me realise what was important, you know. And then for everyone else, it'll be different things in their life that make them realise, because I think we all get there eventually.
Yeah. Aye.
And you grow up eventually in that, but
Age,
it's not
age sometimes alone, not even kids, just as you get older, you start going, wait a minute, I'm older now, it's maybe time to screw the nut on. You know, and things like that.
And often it's not even just an instant thing for me. It wasn't an instant thing. It's like you don't just have kids and then instantly the next day you've took on. It gradually accumulates all the knowledge and experience that you go through.
You have epiphanies every day, like,
and then you just sort of assimilate it all and put it all into sort of in the bank, like I was saying earlier. So you've learnt a lot, and you learn from your mistakes, because I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, you know what I mean? And I've obviously done a lot of things right, but when I make mistakes, I want to learn from them.
Aye. Mm-hmm.
And that's how you be constructive about stuff.
Aye.
You construct something from the mistake and say, well, there's a lesson learned.
We were kind of talking about that off camera, eh? Like, when things go wrong, you want to try and learn from it. It's an experience, then put it behind you and move on. You know, like,
yeah.
But definitely learn from it, and it builds you as a person. And
yeah. So that's the kids really helped me to learn all that. And then you were asking about the uni and everything. So, like, I didn't graduate I got an honours degree in sound production, but not until I was 35.
Aye.
And then when I was about 31, I got a diploma in music business from college.
Mm-hmm.
But I just sort of I always wanted to go to university,
Aye.
and I'm very proud that I managed to graduate and stuff.
You really wanted to do it, just to say you'd done it, and got yourself a degree.
Well, aye, it's got a degree, but it also it was a real experience. I went Dave Gunn.
Aye.
And a couple of other boys, Prisma and Konski, and that, we all went to uni together. It just so happened that we enrolled at the same year.
Ah, cool.
So it was a very sociable thing as well. It wasn't just about doing the beats and stuff. But I did it because I still want to work a lot as a DJ and as a producer, say in the next 10 years to 15 years. And a lot of it's going to be self-employed, you know.
Aye,
so I want people to know that, you know, if they hire me for work and stuff, that they're getting a professional.
Aye.
And then I've got the credentials.
You've had the experience. You've got the experience, and you've also now got, as you say, the paperwork for it, the credentials.
So I've got the academic achievements. And
Aye.
just say, if anyone ever asks, and say, well, there you go.
Oh, just my sign making. There's a lot of sign makers that there was a course at Telford College. You did 2 solid years to get your HNC.
Yeah.
And then the course shut a few years after, not long, but just a few years after I got my certificate. The course in Telford shut. Something happened to one of the lecturers. It was really quite a bad story or something. But so there was no lecturer to run it, so they shut the course. And therefore, nowhere in Scotland could you get a qualification to be a sign maker.
So you actually ended up with quite a sought after qualification.
Now if you want one, I think you can go to Newcastle and get one in England if you want some sort of qualification. It might be an HNC down there. So I got that. So it's now like a golden ticket for me, because I go for a job and so many people. I'm 40, so all the young ones that are making signs and
that's it.
Don't have this bit of paper.
That's it.
And I've got this. It's like a wow.
Yeah,
is that
because
real?
You do a lot. You're a self-employed sign maker, you know,
Aye.
sign writer, and that. So, as I was saying, I've done a lot of self-employed work as a DJ, and you know yourself, you've got to have a qualification there, or people just be like, "This, I'm going to get a good job," you know.
Yeah.
So
sometimes if you feel like someone is doubting you, like if I go to see jobs and I feel like the customer's doubting me a bit, maybe little comments here and there, I will literally end up pulling it out, like pulling the card out and being like, you don't like need to worry about that. I'm qualified at this. I've got an HNC and sign. And they're like, oh, have you? Yeah, I know I did 2 years at college when and I've done this since I was this age, and I have to convince, and then just tell them about these wee things. It's like you can see the change in them, that, oh right, okay, no, I feel safe. No, he knows what he's talking about. It's like, but you don't need to do that with everyone. Some people are
exactly. And then obviously there's a lot of people who don't get any qualifications at all, and then just go and storm a self-employed career, you know. And
it's my weapon. It's my tool that I can pull out, that I've got this course, I've done this course, I'm qualified. But someone that hasn't done the course, their tool could be like, if they're just good at what they're doing, they could be like, I can guarantee you I'm going to do better quality work than anyone that comes, you know.
Exactly. And they could just say, well, look, I've got all these recommendations.
Aye, exactly.
And they could have that, so can work in different ways.
Yeah.
But you were asking, so you asked about the DJing, and then obviously you asked about the qualification, and you asked about what makes me rap.
Yeah, the final part sort of like, because we're coming up about 5-6 minutes left to go. So I sort of why you even are involved in music?
Yeah.
Why do you?
I think it's an urge to be creative, and I think that all rappers, it's just my opinion, that somewhere within the psyche of people who are rap and MCs,
and also really quickly though, you produce too, you've done a lot of beat production too, so as well. But carry on. Sorry,
I make a lot of beats in that. Aye,
that's creative as well.
I was saying, but what was I saying there about? I was like, I've lost that.
That's my fault.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I'll remember.
It's a need to create and be creative.
So I think all MCs have got, if they're honest, there's a certain need to be heard. Right? There's an element of seeking attention.
Aye.
Whenever someone makes a beat, or if they make a track, or if they do a rap, or if they do some scratching, a lot of the time, I mean, I would say most of the time, they're wanting someone else to hear it.
Aye.
At least one person, you know.
Aye.
So I always go down to the fundamentals of it, but you're asking me
attention seeker.
You're asking me really it's a deep question.
Aye.
Why do I rap, and why do people rap?
Yeah.
Right, and at the base of it, it's because you want to be heard. You want to make something, and you want people to hear it, and then hopefully they'll
value.
relate it to it.
And-
Hopefully
aye.
people will hear it and be like, oh, that's cool, I like that about it, or I like what he said there, or I like his flow. Somehow they might relate to it.
I think I'm sort of relating to what you're saying there a bit, like with the podcasts and when I did music a lot, and I think also there's a part of me that does these things because I want it to succeed. It's like I'm going to make this album and I want it to do really well. It's not that it's not like I'm wanting to be a big rapper or what everyone think I'm the best. It's just that I want to make this album. I want to make it sound amazing, and I want to be successful at making this album.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's something about that. That that UV Beats
you need
album we
recognition,
done,
yeah.
It felt amazing to see the UV Beats album
Yeah,
10,
yeah.
12
Yeah.
years ago. And it was like, wow, man.
Well, that was when, see, I do the U Sonics label, right? But it came from U Turn Sonics, right?
Aye,
so
aye.
when I did stuff with you and Mad Hat back in the day, we were sometimes we would make music and stuff, but then when it was time to put something out, that was before MCF and that, wasn't it?
Aye, aye.
So I duplicated up some CDs, you know, and printed on them, so that looked official and that, right? And then when MCF did start, I did
Pretty
I
sure
did
you
500 CDs.
You did the Volume 1 UV Beats
Aye.
CD, I think.
Aye.
Aye.
So I had the U-Turn Sonics thing going from about 2006, 2007.
Yeah. UV Beats first volume, I think, was 2008.
Aye.
Makes sense, eh?
And then later on that changed to U-Sonics because I thought U-Turn Sonics was a bit long.
Yeah.
And then I was
U-Sonics
working with
good.
somebody else
Aye.
at the time, and we just were like, aye, U-Sonics is better. So
And
that's
did you not change it to YOU?
Aye, YOU
yeah,
as well.
Yeah, you did. Aye. Mhm.
So it's like YOU Sonics, and it's like that changed around 2012, but before that it started 2006,
Aye.
and it was U-Turn Sonics.
U-Turn Sonics.
And we were just putting out the stuff, and it was just we all just were eager to make tunes and put them out.
Mm-hmm.
And you see what it is though, at the root of it all is that you want to be creative,
Yeah.
and you want to put it out so people hear it,
Mm-hmm.
and then
What
you're probably
approval.
wanting some approval and
Aye,
recognition for it, and then obviously you end up, anyone who does music knows that you'll end up with people who don't like what you're doing, so then you're setting yourself up for criticism too when you put stuff out, you know?
Yeah.
So you've got to take the rough with the smooth, you know.
Mhm.
But see, at the base of it all, I do rap because I'm a creative guy, and I see a lot going on. So I want to talk about it, and often, like especially when we first started out, like doing stuff together back in 06 and that, 07, 08, 09, all that stuff we were doing, we were just like, we were jumping about and having fun, you know, and we didn't have kids back then and stuff, so.
Yeah.
We were talking about different stuff, but see, as life's going on and that, and I've checked some of your stuff earlier, off camera and that, it always starts to take on a more sort of emotional
Aye.
side to it, and you get better at being like lyrical about your feelings and stuff. So that's what's happened to me eventually. But like initially, it was like about just doing stuff and wanting people to hear it.
Yeah.
And then when you get the recognition, that's cool. And when you get the beef,
Content.
that's like,
Content used to be more shock value back in the old days when we would hook up. Same with Mad Hat, and you'd be writing for shock value.
Yeah,
You'd be
exactly.
Like, just crazy bars.
And then you just want to do some mad flows and be like, oh, that flow's mad and that.
Yeah.
But that was all just
It's
like
fun though, eh?
It was
You're
fun,
basically
and that's-
learning your craft, so you're
Yeah.
enjoying flicks. And can
Yeah.
I fit that many words in the back of that?
I know. And then mine, we used to be like, and trying to do stuff on the mic and being like, oh man, I need to try that again. And that.
Aye.
But like, it was an effort
Never wanting to punch in your words or that.
because
either.
you've actually
We
pushed
always
yourself.
try to do it in one go.
Aye,
Like,
because you're pushing yourself on this, and like you're even when you're writing it, it's like this is going to be tough when I get.
tell
in the
you
booth.
what, when we made tunes together at our circle, everybody always, I mean, it was every now and then people would, but most of us always start to end in one
Yeah.
go, and it was almost a rule in the
It's like
feeling
you
in the
can't
room.
punch in.
Aye.
Aye, but we
And-
were like that. But a lot of people punch in. I'm not
Yeah,
saying there's
yeah.
anything wrong
No,
with that.
oh, I know,
But
I know.
we were like that,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
also was also good for us for when we did live gigs.
Well, it was
'Cause then
training. I was
aye.
about to say it was like lyrical, like boxing training or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
preparing for the main fight. So then when you were
Exactly.
on, you've already been doing it full go in one
Aye.
go in the studio.
Aye.
You can just pick the mic up and it's.
But what I noticed as well, when you're jumping about on stage, you can get out of breath, and that's something that you might not have really sort of took into account when you're in the booth.
Aye.
So
Hype man.
Hype man, you back. Yep, aye. When you run
Totally
out,
like-
when you run out of breath, How are we doing for minutes?
Well, I think we're pretty much at it, man. I mean, yeah, and you've covered everything there, and why you do music and everything, why you did everything really. You've spoke about what pushed you in every direction, and spoke a bit about parenthood as well, So
yeah,
yeah,
it's just it's what's important in that, and I'm just I'm starting to become more sort of aware of what's important in life. As time goes on, I'm learning something every day, and I think it's important to be like real about stuff, and to be, as I said earlier, like tolerant of people, and I'm trying to be a gentleman,
Aye.
and all the rap and a lot of the stuff that I did, say 10, 12 years ago, was great, and it's just I've moved on from that now, and I'm making probably less music. I'm doing more DJing these days, and maybe more beats, less recording vocals.
Yeah, me too,
But
man.
I'm doing an album with Word, another Liz Tax album, Liz Taxpayers, and so there's still stuff happening in that, but
it's not your priority anymore. I mean, I was the same though. Peddling like multi projects. Got that EP I'm doing my own one. I'm getting the UV Beats thing ready, and I'm actually starting to work on a new album as well at the same time.
That was crazy times, but
Really?
it's so productive as well, so I'm glad we've got all that.
I know.
Hundreds and hundreds of songs out.
Aye, I know.
And it
Some
was
classics.
really good. It was really good times, and it's like, now it's a different era, and we're all sort of got older heads on us
Aye.
now. You know what I mean?
Well, I think we should move on to the next part on that, man.
Cool.
We're going to go on to the second break, which is going to be another track from Blasphemous Sinner, more than likely. I doubt it's U-Turn, or else it would be scratching the song the whole way through. So it's going to be Blasphemous Sinner. And we'll be back in a wee minute, and all details will be on the screen. We'll catch you soon.
Confidence.
Yeah, capital. Confidence.
Up in the morning, 9:30, jump in the shower, wash my spine. Start the day at breakfast time, choose good life, man, I don't decline. Move forward, don't rewind on the grind, got a passion, hard to find. Some people wanna break my mind, cause the truth is you can't replace my kind. As I flex on a grimy beat, me and UV dope every time we meet. It's the blasphemous sinner for the slimy streets. On a mission, man, I'm planning a tidy week. Gonna get just read what I sow, don't really need to let everybody know. Peeps know that I got the flow, rap heavyweight game if it comes to blows. Confidence.
Yeah, capital. Confidence.
Damn. Later on, man, I get the dinner in. The blasphemous sinner, man, I love the cinnamon. Stand back as I put the rhythm in. Rhyme on time for the peeps to listen in. I know when times is rough, everybody don't feel like life's enough. On your back, pile up like a mile of stuff. Even letting off a smile is tough. I get through all the ups and downs. Life's great on the whole, why I'm making sounds. Rap, even if it's underground, got a good effect on me, loud and proud. Only spitting on the beats that's fat, peeps waiting on the news to release my tracks. Portfolio I keep in stacks, need that like I need my snacks. Confidence.
Yeah, capital. Confidence.
Fade away in my younger days, and my prime now is what my hunger says. I could rhyme in 100 ways about silly wee games I don't wanna play. Took hits like a stun grenade, made a bang in the place on the drums again. Man, I'm having fun today, problems run away. I give love when you come to shows, got a fan base now, that's a life I chose. I do what I want and the case is closed, don't make me have to erase my foes. Confidence.
Yeah, capital. Confidence.
Right, guys, so that's us back. Hope you enjoyed that last track there from Blasphemous Sinner. All details should have been on the screen and where you can get it and stuff. So, perfect. So, we'll just move on with the final part of the interview podcast, which is just based on like what accomplishments you're really proud of in your life, really, like in your music and studying and life generally. And we'll go on to, after that, like what you're working on just now, if there's anything you're focused on, like releases or music or anything, and then if there's still a bit of time, chat about what you plan for the future, if you've got any plans of that for the future. But yeah, so starting off, what sort of accomplishments, like through, it can go years back, things you're really proud of doing and accomplishing.
Cool. Going way back, you know, I did well at school, you know, I did good standard grades, so I'm proud of that.
Aye.
Got 2 hires, proud of that. And then, as I said,
Suppose you can kind of go through time, from
yeah, chronologically, those were like my first academic achievements. And then I went to college, I got the music business diploma, and then I went to university in Dundee and I got the sound production degree with honours. So I did an extra year on top of the degree. So I'm very proud of those accomplishments, and I'm very proud of my DJ career. I'm proud of winning the Scottish DMC.
2005 Scottish DMC champion.
Yeah, and then chronologically,
You went to London and everything with that.
Yeah, yeah. Pentonville Road at Scala and Shepherd's Bush Empire. It was 2 separate occasions I went down to London.
Aye.
2 different years, and then I'm very proud of becoming a very good father, I would say. Like, I try my best for my 2 boys, and I got stuck into all the nappies and everything and the bottles, and so I know what it's like to raise kids, you know.
Aye,
and that is an accomplishment, because
totally,
yeah, it's hard work, but see, when you get through it all and that,
it's a set of skills though as well. Like,
yeah,
it's mad.
Yeah, I know how to. I think that learning how to look after kids is one of my proudest achievements.
Aye.
To be able to feed my baby his bottle and then burp him.
Aye, I know,
Things like that, you know. Change his nappy, bath him, you know, make sure his clothes and all that's clean. Feeding them.
Teaching them as they get older too.
Showing them how to walk, how to talk, and educating them about nature and the world. And that's really like what's made my life worthwhile, you know, like really like made my life think, wow, I'm really doing something
and feel
here.
proud of yourself.
Yeah, that's you know, I'm like satisfied with what I do, you know. So those are like my proudest achievements. I'm proud passing my truck driver license first time.
Aye.
I'm proud that I passed my driving license to drive cars first time.
I was second, man.
But yeah, you've got to bush off, you know. You've got to be proud of yourself.
Yeah, man.
And never be ashamed of telling people, this is what I'm good at.
Aye.
This is my talents. And I always try and be honest about your mistakes as well. You know.
How many? God, throat's going. How many like releases have you put out roughly? Be hard for you to.
Roughly,
aye.
I've done 10 albums.
10 albums. Aye.
But I've done 10 albums, and I've done about 5 EPs.
Aye.
Under the Blasphemous Sinner rap name.
Yeah.
But that includes 2 albums I've done with Word as the Liz Taxpayers, and I've done 2 albums with Elmy and Conda with the Stone Bench thing, and we got Inspector Deck on it, and everybody heard about those features, you know. We got Sadat X and Terminology was on it too. I've done 4 solo albums, and a couple of them are just all my beats and all my raps and no features. So yeah, I've done 10 albums and about 5 EPs in total, And then that's not to mention all the tracks that we made that ended up on your projects, like the UV Beats stuff, and
Yeah, I mean, masses.
and then stuff that ended up on Power Cut, like a few verses here and there. So aye,
MCF stuff as well.
I've done about
releases on MCF.
Aye, I mean it's hard to put a finger on it now, but I think I've done about 600 songs as a rapper.
Were you happy with all those releases, or is there like certain ones out of them that you always think of? Those were the ones were my favourite ones I put out.
Yeah, I think from a personal perspective, like I think some of the solo albums I did are most interesting to me because I made all the beats and I've rapped on them and that, and then so they've got, and then when I listen to them, they don't sound like I can really pigeonhole them anywhere.
100% your creativity too.
Yeah,
it's your beat as well.
Yeah.
Aye.
So yeah, like I done an album called Quarantine 10 years ago, and that was all my beats and stuff like that, and it's I listened to it and I'm like,
didn't you?
Yeah, I did Quarantine too.
Yeah.
But looking back, it's like, see now, I couldn't make another album like that. I couldn't see all the stuff I was saying on the tracks and all of that. It's like, I don't know where it all came from.
Oh, right, aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
And I did so many songs where it was just like verbal dump a lot of the time, like just verbally just like dumping stuff on tracks. And a lot of the time working on flows and things like that.
It's like you were saying earlier, your styles change as you get older too. The way you feel about the world and how you express how you're feeling.
Yeah, it's an expression. It's a verbal release, verbally releasing stuff. And as we were talking earlier, it's because I've got this urge to be creative, and I've done a lot of DJing, and then I've ended up diversifying into sort of MCing and rapping. Because I can really, and then I met the right people around me to sort of bounce off of, like yourself and others, and it just sort of became something that was like second nature.
Aye. So I mean, now you've covered pretty much all your accomplishments, have you? You talked about uni, your kids, being a dad, your music releases,
I think
supporting artists. Of that, are you proud of?
I've supported a few artists. Like back in the day, Primo came and I did some scratching in support of him. I didn't actually play any music. I was just asked to go on and do some scratching.
Oh, right, cool.
And so I did that, and so that was supporting Primo, and then. As I said, we had Terminology and others on the Stone Bench album, and then when they came to town, we were at their gig and stuff, and basically, I've done quite a lot of things, and as I said, it's like some of them are good tracks, some of them are not so good. You know what I mean? It's like when you make about 600 songs. Some of them will be better than others,
Aye.
But that's
cool.
That's it's the achievements,
Well, we could sort of move on to like what are you working on just now? Things, can you let us know, or anything that's too under wraps? Or
Well, you see, the thing is
albums or anything.
It's not. Yeah, we're making an album. Me and Word. It's another Liz Tax one. But it's not like, there's definitely not sort of like any secrets or that, because, it's not like we're working to some kind of promotion schedule or anything, and there's no reason to sort of hold back any details on anything. If anybody asks, we can just talk about it, because it's like, it's just some music that we're making, you know what I mean? Right. It'll be the third album that we've made, but, I don't know.
Word's a busy guy,
it's just like I make music. I don't mind about how far it propagates a lot of the time. I'm no interested in that side of things really. I just like making stuff. Well, I'm no bothered how many listeners it gets and
take
stuff.
Over the world of that.
Yeah. So I'm never like I've got this release coming out soon and that. You know what I mean? It's like I might have been like that in the past.
It's just good,
but I'm just different now.
Get it out. get your
Aye.
creativity out.
It's
and-
coming along very slowly.
Yeah.
The corona thing totally slowed everything down with regards to like what we've been doing.
Aye.
Like I've not been recording anything like I was before the pandemic,
Aye,
and it's
aye.
also everything changes. So I'll accept that change. I'm like, no, this is cool. I'll take that and embrace it and be like, well, we were forced to sort of separate ourselves from people
Aye.
for a while, and then that kind of has slowed down all the.
Everyone's.
And I wasn't happy to go and change and be like, oh, I'll just send you those verses over and all of that, because back before it was like you'd hook up in the studio and then you make stuff, and that's how I like to do things.
Aye.
So I'm not really able to be sending verses back and forth like some people do, which is fine for some people, but just for my vibe,
I bet
the
you.
way I do things, I don't like doing that.
I bet you were doing a lot of cutting in that in your flat and that.
Yeah,
Aye.
yeah,
Like
loads. I do-
during lockdown. Just.
yeah. I've been
aye.
learning some new scratches,
Aye.
for
aye.
example,
Mm.
and I don't even know what to call them, but I'm just like
During
really.
lockdown, were you like cutting every day and that sometimes?
Not every
having a
day,
wee-
not
no.
every day, but a lot of days, yeah.
Aye.
Sometimes I might go a week without cutting it,
Aye. Right.
because it gives. I mean, you need that as well.
Aye. Mm.
You can't do it all the time because you need to, as I said, you learn things and store them. And I think so anyway. I think that's what happens with me. You learn them and store them, and then you've got to give it a wee rest for a bit, and then those things really settle in
Mm.
and kind of crystallise, and then you've got them down, and then you can come back and learn new stuff.
Oh.
So yeah, I've been cutting a lot
Yeah.
through the
You
through
got-
the lockdown. Not every day, but I'm thinking about doing more competitions and stuff in the future. But I've got to get with the new vibe, and I don't know if I will be able to, because the new vibes, it's all online. You've got to send in videos.
right,
It's
aye.
no really like it used to be,
Mhm.
and so I'm not sure if I'm really cool with doing it all online, because it's not anything compared to turning up at venues and doing real battles,
Aye.
especially the fact that it's all video, right? So what happens is it's not really live. That person might have made that video, but he's been trying all day to get it right,
Mhm.
and he's got it wrong many times.
Aye.
And then at one time when he gets it right, he's going to send
got
that
the
in and
best
be like,
video.
look.
Aye.
But it's not really the reality of it.
I
It's
know,
like people
eh.
don't realise that
Never thought of that.
he's got it wrong a million times,
Mm.
and he's only sending in the one that he got right.
Aye. It'd be like a sort of rap battle. Send in your verses, and you could just practice and practice the same.
Yeah,
thing till
it's
you-
no comparison to actually turning up and doing stuff live and being
rapping.
like,
Aye.
I hope that needle doesn't jump and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Aye.
So it's changed now, but I love DJing, and for me it's fine just to do it at home, to get a few gigs on the side.
Well, me and
to
you
do
are
them.
gonna get a wee special
Yeah,
DJ podcast hopefully on the go.
we can
We'll-
talk about
we'll
the
not-
DJing. Yeah,
We'll not give away too much to anyone
No,
yet, because more of a surprise. But we've got a wee idea, eh?
aye,
And hopefully hook up your decks
aye.
to my system so we can get the actual
The recording.
sound
You want a
feeding through.
direct feed, yeah?
Yeah, we'll get direct and straight into there, and we can have a wee bit of fun. So we'll not say any more, but that'll be a cool podcast.
Yes.
Um,
Keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, cool, man. So, I mean, you're just working on the album with Word. You're not working on any other music just now. then?
Making beats. I've got about 20 beats that I've made recently on
Alright, cool.
on Fruit Loops, and I've sent them all to Word.
Oh,
So
nice.
he's been writing on a couple of them, and I've got a couple of ideas for him. This is for the new album, and I continue to make beats. So I'm
Keep
making
Word
beats.
backed up with beats, and you can use them for things.
Aye, but I
Aye,
just love making beats, eh?
Aye.
I just like making beats, and I love DJing, eh? And
Aye.
then see the rapping side of things, it all just comes like a garnish on the top, you know. It's
Aye,
like
aye.
I can do that too, you know.
Ken,
I
aye.
can jump on that too. So, you know.
There is a big part of that when you produce. That
Yeah.
you're just rapping to fill the tune, to feel like, well, I've got the beat, I've done all that.
You gotta
can
go-
even put your cuts on. It's like, I need a little rap on there.
Mhm.
Might as well just do it myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's just, I think it's important not to take things too seriously, especially with the music.
Mm.
That doesn't mean that you don't try and make good tunes,
Aye.
but don't. I think it's important not to take things too serious, not to sort of take knockbacks, you know, too harshly, and
don't gamble
always,
your life on it too much.
Yeah, and basically be happy with the advances that you make. Be happy with the career that you've had. Be happy with the things that you do, because that is you. That is what you're doing. So don't be sort of dissatisfied if you've only ever done a few gigs and there wasn't many people there. It's like you still grew from being somebody that didn't even know how to rap to somebody who learnt to rap and wrote their own rap and then memorised their own rap and then jumped up on stage and did it. That's cool. You know? Too many times people too many times people are sort of like,
I like what you just said there, that like that's you.
Yeah.
You know, be happy with how you've done.
Yeah, and whatever level you reach.
Because that is you.
Yeah,
like,
that's
you're not
you.
changing it.
Yeah, accept that. Accept where you are, and be proud of yourself and say, well, I've came that far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's not even being like patronising saying that. It's genuinely like everybody has, even if you feel like you've not done great, you've done a lot. It's like, because you've not done great, you feel like you've not done anything. It seems to blank out all the rest, but it's like, think about the things you've done, and then you normally, even if you do feel down about your own stuff in the past, I've normally even done that, or you think to yourself, what am I talking about? Like, I've done tons. Like, yeah.
Because a lot of the time you'll be making like projects and stuff, and you're like, oh, wow, I've put a lot of work into this, and then you've got expectations for it, and then when they don't happen the way you expected it, then you start to think, well, it wasn't worth it.
Aye, I know, way.
And then why think like that?
Yeah.
Why are you pinning everything on other people's, you know, recognition? Earlier we says, oh, you're looking for recognition, so then it might be that you're only writing this to get attention.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And then when you don't get enough attention, you're not happy now. So it's like, so I think it's important to do stuff because you enjoy it, man.
Often the expectations are too high as well, if you think about it. People are thinking, I'm going to put all this work in and I'm going to really try and push this album. And as you say, it doesn't hit where they want it to hit. And it's kind of like, where did you want it to hit? And in all reality, think about all the musicians and artists out there. How many folk are making music in their own little home studio and blowing up with an album? Not like there is some people that do that, but there's like millions of artists, and every now and then one pops out an internet sensation because of his music out of all those millions. So don't start sitting there going, this album's going to make me blow up, this album. Because, well, it's not happening for all the other millions either, you know. So it's not even just you. Like,
yeah, it's
all
like,
you need to do is sell your soul. 666 on the back of your head. Nah, I'm joking, guys.
it's so far removed from what we do, is that level of stuff. See, if you were ever, if someone was ever given that choice to be like, you know, sign this contract with Island Records or something, you know, it's really, you know, it's far away from what we're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Aye.
And there is sometimes talk within the scene, a couple of people have been involved with Sony and stuff like that, and you know, that all comes from hard work. It doesn't, it's rarely luck, you know. So you got to accept the level that you get to with places, because at the end of the day it reflects how much effort you've actually put in this stuff. And you might have been good at making tunes and stuff, but are you good at finding an outlet? Are you good at finding markets?
Pushing it and marketing.
Are you good
your
at promotion?
Stuff?
Probably not.
I know.
A lot of the time people have to admit they don't really know what they're doing with all that shit.
No.
They don't.
Nah. And even people that have a little promo game like myself and Word, and we're not like real marketing promoters. They know what, like, we're just winging it.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
And see, once you start, if you were, well, I've bought promo a couple of times for people down south, you know, and it does help, because we done those Stonebench albums and stuff, and it had Inspector Deck on it and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we've done some promo and that, but that never worked out how we were planning either. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like we distributed thousands of copies, CDs, actual CDs, and then thousands of downloads happened on the Bandcamp. And I think a lot of that was to do with the promo that we did, but we didn't get thousands of copies out on CD, right? You've got one up there,
Aye.
shrink wrapped and everything. It's got Inspector Deck on it. And then we got on the Bandcamp, we can see that thousands of downloads happened as well of the album, right? But it's
Aye.
not what we were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn from that.
Aye.
Like even when you get a big feature, it might not work out how you expect. Do you know what I'm saying? And then that's why I'm like, well, I've done a track with Inspector Deck, so that's, do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. So I'm like, cool, right? Well, I'm happy with what we've done. Thousands of people have got the CD, and thousands of people have downloaded it. It never really went where we thought it would go.
Aye.
But the journey was amazing, and doing a track with Inspector Deck, oh my god, you know what I mean? So
I've always had RZA as my favourite, and Inspector Deck in there close, and the Woo, like RZA was that's just always my favourite. I don't know, to be honest. Inspector Deck's style is amazing.
Yeah, well, he was the first guy on the first single. It was I smoke on the mic like smoking Joe Fraser, the Hellraiser. He comes in first on that first track, you know. That was the one that blew them up.
Aye.
And he's always been, it's crazy, but he's always been my favourite. He's always been my favourite. And nowadays he's doing stuff with Czarface. He's just got a new album out it's called Zarmageddon. That's like very recent, like last week or something.
Cool.
And he's done 3 Czarface albums now.
Mm-hmm.
And what Inspector Deck's got going is amazing. Like him and Ghostface are still the most active.
Aye. Ghostface still tours about and does stuff and that.
Yeah.
And everything,
But aye, it's
RZA's really, I don't know what he's up to these days, but
you met him. You've chilled with him after a show once.
Aye.
He's Hollywood now. He does like big
he's
scores
mostly involved
for
in movies, scores for movies,
big scores,
and
like
even directing
Tarantino and all
wee
that.
movies and that.
Aye.
So he still does. He obviously is the main figure in organising a Woo release every now and then. Every now and then there's a new Woo album. It was was it something the Saga Returns or what was it?
Aye, they've done a lot of albums.
A recent one.
I don't really check them anymore.
Ago. The Saga Returns or something. Yeah.
The W, I think that was like the W or something. That was.
Saga
So you know what? I've honestly lost track of all their albums. I used to really like Iron Man.
Yeah.
Ghostface, Iron Man. I liked all the first albums.
You should check out that Saga album. Can't remember The Saga continues. Yeah, Wu-Tang. The Saga continues. You'll love it, man. Most folk were like, "Wow, it's like Woo Forever coming back." The sound. The style.
Yeah. No, I think that Ghostface moaning, because Ghostface apparently been moaning a lot about the sound to RZA.
Aye.
And then RZA actually said like.
So was Raekwon, I think.
Yeah. And then apparently they were like, well, just get some beats then, somebody else's beats. And it was like, right then, apparently that's what happened. But then they all kind of get back together again. But it's because RZA wants to do his thing. He's not interested in all that so much anymore. There was a little thing with Method
Man as well. He had a wee issue as well. He wasn't too happy.
Aye, but
a lot of them, I think RZA was kind of changing things a bit, and it was like, I think he's always kind of been the guidance, and they just followed. But now, because his influences have changed so much,
he was the man.
Like,
aye.
I know that Raekwon, I think, was quoted saying the music's like, or no, he called RZA a hip hop hippie, didn't he?
Possibly,
said,
aye.
Not in a bad way, but saying, man, you sound like a hip hop hippie with these beats and that.
Yeah, because he was going too soft, apparently.
Aye.
I mean, I can tell by the sound too.
Aye.
And then that's why I've went off it all. I can't tell you about the recent Wu-Tang albums because the sound wasn't cool with me anymore. Too soft, right? And I got into them because I liked that sort of more solid sound, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they sort of lost their edge long ago. And that's just, you know, it's just the way I feel about it. I'm not saying that, you know, but
I think you need to check that album, man. The latest one that literally Ken Jiggs. I remember seeing him on Facebook posting when it came out and just going, "Wow, man, Wu-Tang are back!" Like proper sample use, nice drop. Like I think they did it on purpose.
Well,
maybe.
it'd be interesting.
Maybe it was due to that argument.
It'd be interesting to look who's the executive producer. Executive. I think maybe if it's Ghostface or something like that.
I've got a couple of minutes, so I'll grab it, or we'll leave everyone in suspense. Right, I'm going to grab it.
It's a Wu-Tang situation.
Wu-Tang situation. Oh shit. If I can't find it in a matter of moments, I'm gonna give up.
Well, you can always edit.
Fuck it. I don't even understand how it's not there. Does Wu-Tang keep going over here? Right, here it is, guys. Yeah, I was about to give up on that and have to edit the video, but we made it. Aye, so Wu-Tang, the saga continues. It's an interesting looking album, to be honest. Mathematics they've got in the back mainly, so he must have done most of the beats.
His beats are amazing.
Looks like a mathematics.
It's a mathematics thing.
Aye,
It's a mathematics
Wu-Tang
album. That's why it sounds good.
Yeah, there we go. Aye, you'd like that, man.
Because it's not Raekwon and it's not RZA.
Aye,
Right now, RZA used to make very good beats, right?
yeah, mathematics always made good
And
ones in there
and
too.
he still
and
does
they were
make
similar.
Yeah, he
Aye.
still, in my opinion, still makes really good beats, but it's not to my taste.
Aye,
Do you know
aye.
what I'm saying?
But
Well
you'd
produced.
like this one, man.
Yeah, that's why mathematics.
Well, I don't know if you want to just call it quits there, man. I mean, we've only got a couple of wee minutes, and
Yeah.
you've covered your accomplishments, why you do music, what you're focused on just now. You've
Mhm.
pretty much done all that, and hopes for the future. I mean, I take it you take life as it goes, eh?
I'm gonna. Yeah, I take things as it goes. I take life as it comes. You know what I mean? And I go with the flow. You know. And I try and be philosophical about stuff, you know, especially when it comes to life, because it's, you know, it's about trying to figure everything out a lot of the time, eh? So, plans for the future are to make sure that my two boys are well looked after, and to, you know, progress with them as they grow, and continue with the beats, make more beats, and do a lot more DJing, and then a bit of rapping, you know.
Get back into normal life. With COVID will start fading away now. Well, it's not going to go away, I don't think, but the madness and everything, I think it's going to fade. Life's going to start to go back to normal now, and a lot more activity for music, eh?
That's a possibility, yeah. I think that, as I said earlier, I think it's changed things, like, permanently, eh?
Oh, aye.
It's changed things permanently, and what's happened is a lot of people, like myself, have had that time to put things into order. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I like making my music and stuff like that. But see, with everything that's going on in the world, it's like you've got to, surviving's like the main thing, and just getting through life and not getting sort of pulled down with everything.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? Because there's a war going on and that, and why is that war happening? It's like, you know, how long has that been bubbling on for, and why is it happening now, right after all of that? You know, and then energy prices going up and stuff, but it's not just a little bit. It's like crazy what's going on. People are begging for electricity in the streets. They've not got electricity. You know,
mad.
So times are tough, man, and it's going to get tougher. So see, at the moment, it's all about getting through this, because we're no sort of back to normal yet.
Aye.
I can't go on holiday like I used to. I know that all the airports are like taking flights again, but I'm not willing to put up with all the new procedures that are. I'm just.
It was bad enough. I'm the terrorist procedures now.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just not going near it until it goes back to an acceptable procedure, which is like, I'll turn up with my passport and my spending money and my ticket to fly, and that's it. I'm not doing anything else.
Aye.
So at the moment, things aren't back to normal at all. You know what I mean?
Cool, man. Well, I think we'll just wrap it up there. Thanks so much for coming on, Big Up.
You're welcome, man. It's been a pleasure,
Yeah, it's been good, man. We covered some quite interesting sort of topics again on this one.
Yeah, well, I hope the people are interested, you know. I hope you enjoy the channel and keep supporting, you know.
Yeah, man, keep the subscribers coming in, the view watching hours going up.
Yeah, that's it. That's
the
it.
plan. Well, yeah, thanks again. Thanks to everyone for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any upcoming content.